Hello, I'm Blair, and I am in Central Texas, actually in Austin, Texas, at Zone 8B. And the topic I want to talk about today, because it's a special passion of mine, is great things to plant for kids in your garden. If you're just starting a garden and you want to plant things that your kid will find fun and engaging, you want to introduce them to plants, show them how the world works, not how the world works, how gardening works, where their food comes from. There's a couple that are really, really fun for kids. And I'm not going to say they're easy, but they're kind of on the beginner side of things, and I can show you some tips on how to make them actually succeed in Texas. But we're just going to go over what the probably about five are first. So first of all, there's some really cool varieties out there. We're not producing, I'm in an urban setting. I'm not producing to feed my family, not really. I'll keep them in fresh vegetables. We'll eat vegetables we never would have eaten, but I just don't have enough space realistically, and Texas's climate is too unpredictable and too harsh for me to really think I'm gonna be able to feed my family out of my backyard. But it is really fun. It's a great way to introduce kids to fruits and vegetables, especially vegetables, which usually are kind of the bane of children, especially young children. And anyway, let's jump into it. So the first one is carrots. Now, I did recently tell some parents that carrots are too hard. I just pulled these guys out of the ground. These are purple carrots. My daughter loves purple. I mean, come on, pulling a purple vegetable out of the ground. Carrots are normally orange. These are purple. Like, it's so interesting. She does always want me to take off this part and all these little spindly bits here. I mean, that kind of freaks her out, but it doesn't freak her out. But she's like, Mommy, like, it didn't take the roots off of this root. But I'll break off this end piece here. Just pinch it off like that. And then I'll break off the top, and I'll go wash this in the hose, and she'll just stand out here and eat the whole thing, and then she'll want me to come take the last green bit off, which I end up pinching off with my thumbnail, or I'll go get a knife or something, or one of my garden shears. I mean, hey, kids can eat a little dirt. It's not going to hurt them. Okay, I'm not giving medical advice, but a little dirt has not hurt my child. It has not hurt me. I wash them off out here. They're coming fresh out of the garden. This is an organic garden. There's no pests on it, or there are pests on it. There's no pesticides on it. And most of these kinds, there's lots of bacteria in the soil, but it's not the kind that makes you sick. That's not true. It's unlikely. I'm not giving medical advice. Anyway, I eat this stuff out of the ground. You do you. You do what you want to do. My kid eats the stuff out of the ground. I mean, not with the dirt on it, but like we'll go wash it. We'll go wash it over there in the hose and get it real clean, and then we'll eat it. Anyway, carrots. Carrots are great. You can get them all different colors. You can get just like a variety pack. I like the little ones. This one can get a little bit bigger. This is a purple cosmos, I think. There's some dandans. They're like a orange carrot, about this long, real round, like a little stubby end, which is kind of cute. There's red ones. There's like little variety packs, and you get all different colors of carrot. And then you get to like kind of pick them out, and oh, this one's white, this one's purple, my daughter loves purple, so we plant a ton of purple, and then I plant some orange ones, and I use them in cooking all the time. But even if I cook these up, she's more likely to eat the purple ones than the orange ones, because toddlers. But carrots are great. Another one that kids love, because they love to go pick them off the plant, is tomatoes. And I wouldn't do the big tomatoes. First of all, squirrels here are a major problem, at least where I am in my urban setting. But second of all, the little tiny tomatoes, you get more of them, and your kid can just come eat like one or two. You don't have to slice them up or anything. They just grab them off the plant and eat them. I highly recommend for Texas, Zone 8B, in Texas, where it is hot. I do recommend there's an F1 hybrid. F1 hybrid does not mean GMO or whatever. It just means that it is that they cross-pollinated two plants in a really specific way. So they took the flower from one plant and pollinated the flower of another plant and created a really resilient plant. You can't save the seeds from this, but hey, we're at the beginner level here. I don't really even save seeds from tomatoes, really. So the F1 hybrid that I love is called Sun Gold. It's a really sweet, thin-walled, like orangish colored tomato. You can tell when it's ripe. My daughter can just go pick them off the plant. When she was 2, she didn't know which ones to pick off, and so she'd get the green ones sometimes, but I would just redirect her to the more deep orange ones. They're great. They're like that big-ish, that big. There's another one that I've grown from seed, which is maybe a little beyond, but any small little like red tomato. The one that I've grown is Tessa's Land Currant. It's more like a wild original tomato. These tiny, tiny little tomatoes, and they're red, and they'll pop a flavor in your mouth, and she'll just come out here and pull them off the plant, and Mommy, pull more, and I'm trying to pick all of them off from the parts that she can't reach, and she'll just sit here and she'll eat handfuls of them, and she loves them. So highly recommend cherry tomatoes of any sort. Yellow, orange, red, whatever colors that excite you, but I highly recommend the smaller ones because kids really love them, and the sun golds have some really small ones which are great. I've also planted, this year I planted a yellow plum. That'll probably be good too. I also I like Early Girl just because it is a bigger tomato and it's early in the year, and you can see like, oh, this is like the tomato we buy at the store kind of thing. But yeah, definitely cherry tomatoes for kids. They love them. They're really sweet usually, thin-walled, and are a great introduction to fruit in general and tomatoes. Is tomato a fruit or vegetable? I'm really sure it's a fruit, but we're gonna call it a vegetable for this because it's one of those things it's harder to get kids to eat. You can also get them to help you make salsa with them, especially if you go peppers or something like that. Oh, actually, the next one is peppers. The third thing I'd recommend is peppers. Not necessarily like the bell pepper. I love bell peppers. I think they're great. Maybe you can grow them in the garden and you can cook them up inside. But the kind of peppers I want you to grow for kids are the ones they can take off the plant and eat right there. Especially if you're not using pesticides, or you can go wash them and they can eat them. Just a fresh pepper. It's something I did not do until like 2 years ago because there's no way I would eat a pepper, but I found these yellow peppers, and they're called sweet banana peppers, and they are a big hit with my daughter. She was like 2 years old, and we were just picking peppers. This was the 2 years ago. 2 years ago, yeah, 2 years ago. She was like 2. We were picking peppers. I'd finally gotten finally got a pepper plant to grow. I had a red bell and a Hungarian sweet banana that just went nuts. I think it was a Hungarian sweet banana that just went nuts. And they were huge, and they're sweet peppers, a huge plant, lots of peppers on it. And so I was just handing them we were picking them, and she was holding them, and I look over and she's eaten half the pepper. And I was like, what? And she's like, more. I'm like, what? She didn't want to eat like the end part with the seeds in it. And I was like, let me take the seeds out and like take the end off for you. And she ate at least half this pepper just sitting there. And she was like, more. I'm like, what? I was shocked because I've never eaten a fresh pepper in my life. And I was like, I guess I should try it. I tried it. And I was like, okay, it's got a unique flavor, but that's pretty good. And so my toddler taught me how to eat peppers. But I highly recommend peppers for that reason. There's any of the sweet small ones. I got a sweet pickle recently just because it said it had lots of different colored peppers, which I'm really excited about. I don't recommend necessarily the green ones. They have a sharper taste to them. If you can get some of the ones that turn a color and are a little bit smaller where your kid can hold them and eat them. I mean, they'll eat off of a bell pepper maybe, but the smaller ones they have a kind of more fun, it looks like a snack appeal to them. So I highly recommend the sweet peppers that way. I would be careful if you're gonna plant peppers in your garden. If you're gonna plant spicy ones and sweet ones, put them far away from each other so your kid doesn't get confused, accidentally get a spicy pepper and then never want to eat peppers again. So like I don't plant the only spicy peppers I planted at the top of that green stalk last year so that my daughter wouldn't accidentally grab the wrong pepper and then, be scarred for life. Well, she wouldn't be scarred for life, but you know what I mean. We'd have to talk her down. It'd be a whole thing. Okay, so that's number 3. The next thing I would actually plant is flowers. Kids love flowers. My daughter will love to come out here. Like I've got some petunias back there. There's white ones, and then I think on the other side of one of these green stalks, there's purple ones. And I'll just pick like a petunia and put it in a glass for her, and she loves it. Or just give it to her, and she'll play with the flower. She'll look at it, whatever. It's just fun. Flowers they're bright, they're happy. And she's not necessarily a girly kid, but she does love flowers. I mean, the beauty of nature, right? And it's purple. It's her favorite color. Like, you'll notice a lot of things in my yard are purple because my toddler loves purple. So I've got sunflowers growing in the middle of my yard right now. I won't turn the camera because I don't want to mess up the angle, but I've got sunflowers growing in the middle of my yard. Some squirrel planted them, or a bird planted them from some neighbors' sunflower seeds, I'm sure, but I'm not letting my husband mow that part of the yard because I love sunflowers, and they'll be fun to put in vases and stuff later this year. What else marigolds are fun. You can put them in vases. We have rose bushes. I pick those for her and put them in a vase for her. But it's just seeing something grow that she can then look at, and it's a fun thing. These nostrums over here, I'll pick them and hand them to her, but they're little flowers. Even things like chives produce a purple flower. I let it flower because I can take those purple chive flowers and put them in our house, and it's fun. We don't buy flowers from the store very often, so it's fun to have little, I grew up picking wildflowers out of my grandma's yard, not public ones, in Colorado, and I would make little flower vases for her with a couple little fresh flowers, and that's always a really fun thing to do in the garden. And when nothing else works out, usually the flowers do, so at least you have that. What's the last thing? Oh, beans or peas. So this is a fun one because they're really easy to pick. And this was another thing where I handed my daughter this bean. I was like, you can try it. And she fell in love with, again, purple. But they have lots of different colors. So you can have beans that are purple, green, yellow. I think those are the three main colors that I've seen. Purple, green, yellow. And there's like different shades of purple, light, dark, big, small. But those are the three main ones, I think. I haven't seen anything else. I've seen like scarlet runner beans. If that's the color of the flower, but not the color of the red. It's the color of the flower, not the color of the bean. They're usually purple or green or yellow. But they're really fun to just pick off the plant. I've struggled with pole beans. For whatever reason, I can't seem to grow them. I eventually will, but not right now. But the bush beans, I'll plant them. I've planted them. The most successful ones I happen to have been in this green stalk over here. I'll plant them every year. My daughter loves the purple ones, and I'll put them in her after school. We pick her up from school, give her a little snack. I'll throw some beans in there and she'll eat them. Or she'll come pick them off the plant and maybe eat one or two. She actually used to eat more. I think I just need to get more in the garden, and hopefully she'll eat more. But that has been a fun one because she can just pick it off the plant. She knows which ones or I can tell her which ones are right or ready to go. You pick them smaller, they just taste sweeter. So there's not too much fault in that. The one thing I will say about the bean plants though, if you're going to plant them, you want to make sure to watch them, because as soon as one of them starts to dry out, one of the beans, it'll stop producing, because it's like, I'm good, I have already reproduced and I can move on, or I can die or whatever, and it'll produce a lot less. So you just do want to keep on top of them and make sure you pull them off of the plant. And that'll mean, usually it's just snacking, but that's really kind of the goal here, is to give your kid a little something to snack on, one or two. I mean, if you plant a whole bed of beans, then you might be eating green beans for dinner. But if you're successful, which again, I haven't had enough green beans I can make a full side out of. One thing I have had enough though for our, I think Charles Dowden calls them field beans, but they're sugar snap peas. This year I planted them early enough and the weather was good enough. I have tons of them. And my daughter has really enjoyed pulling them off of the plant and eating them. Actually, let me go get them. I'll just edit the video. So these have been very popular in our house lately. I love them. My husband loves them. I'll literally put them on a frying pan for 2 minutes, or we'll eat them fresh. I don't eat a lot fresh. I'm working on my love of fresh vegetables. This is a bigger one. Probably don't want it to get much bigger than this. See how the beans are starting to form? You don't want it to go full on and produce full beans. You can, but these aren't really shelling peas. These are meant to be eaten fresh like this, and they start to get tougher and stringier. You can also pick them at this size or a little bigger. So there's the comparison. There's the comparison. This is going to be sweeter if you're trying to give your kid one right off the plant. Let them pick the smaller ones because they taste just a little bit sweeter. Though Lizzie was looking for the beans, and this one she's like, where are the beans? Where are the peas? So anyway, that's the so this is the size. It's the little guy versus the big guy. And my daughter was like, where's the beans and the peas in this one? She could see them, and this one she couldn't. That I was explaining, you actually just eat the whole thing. So this is, I've got dirt all over my hands because it's gardening. It's gonna happen. Dirt won't hurt you. But this is my fifth recommendation. Either beans or sugar snap peas. These you plant in January or February. You plant them really early, so you're gonna have to get your garden bed ready early. And they do take up a decent amount of space. I think I did a 10-foot bed, the full thing across, and I've got enough for like actual meals for the first time ever, which is super cool. But this is a fun one, and it will get your kid to eat an actual green vegetable because they're fun and they taste great. They're actually very sweet. So anyway, those are my recommendations. There's a very loud bird here. Those are my recommendations for gardening with kids. They have so much joy in it. I mean, my daughter doesn't always participate, but when she does, especially for like picking the vegetables and stuff, she gets really excited and eats vegetables where I don't know if she would otherwise. Sometimes if I let her pick something out of the store, she'll at least try it. But this is just a really fun experience. You can see where her food comes from. I enjoy gardening, and she enjoys eating the fruits of my labor, I guess. And then we both enjoy picking the flowers, and I think everybody enjoys pulling a carrot out of the ground. That's pretty darn cool. Oh, there's actually a bonus one I would say for as far as pulling things out of the ground. Sweet potatoes. They're really easy to grow in Texas. You plant them in like May, and they'll kind of take over. They have really pretty leaves, so if you've got a garden that's in a very visible location, they'll kind of take over, and they're really lovely that way. And then they're fun to dig out of the ground. We did purple sweet potatoes last year. I've got some sweet potatoes growing in my pantry right now that I've decided I'm just going to leave there. They seem happy. I'm going to get them to root, and then I'm going to take the slips off of them. I've probably had them since January, so bad on me for not planting them, but man, I'm saving a lot of money and not having to buy sweet potato slips. And so anyway, that's it's getting loud here. Dogs barking, birds chirping. I love this bird, but it's very loud. Anyway, so I highly recommend gardening with kids. It's a lot of fun. They learn a lot, and you'll get them to eat some fun new things. So if you haven't tried gardening yet, I highly recommend it. You can do it. It's worth it.